South East Queensland is on a knife edge as it deals with 4 new community cases of COVID-19 just 5 days out from the historic NRL Grand Final at Suncorp Stadium. An unvaccinated truckie infectious in the community for 8 days is causing the greatest concern. Face masks now have to be worn at all times in the Brisbane and Moreton Bay areas. There are visiting restrictions for aged care and disability homes as well as hospitals. And visits to prisons in the southeast corner have been cancelled. The Premier insists there is no need to panic about a lockdown, but the Chief Health Officer says it all depends on the numbers in the coming days. Lexi Hamilton-Smith begins our coverage.
NRL bosses and 50,000 fans who have bought tickets for Sunday's decider are nervous, despite reassurances of no lockdown from the Premier.
Not at this stage, no.
She insists the latest cases haven't prompted crisis talks with league organisers about moving the game to Townsville.
There has been no discussions. Can I tell you, when my phone rings, I'll be updating people.
We've always had contingency plans in place, but they are contingency plans.
But a leading epidemiologist and WHO advisor wants the game postponed, saying it could be a super spreader event.
With 50,000 people attending a football match, it is potentially a flashpoint for a mass infection.
The Chief Health Officer hasn't ruled it out.
I do have a reasonable level of concern.
A decision could be made as late as
The morning of the NRL.
Queenslanders keep getting told
It only takes one person crossing the border with Delta and we're into a lockdown.
but there are now 4 cases.
This stage, I do not think a lockdown is warranted. That could change.
There are 2 separate mystery clusters, a 30-year-old airline simulator trainer who was in contact with pilots at Brisbane Airport and his wife. Their child has tested negative, but the childcare centre they use at Eatons Hill is an exposure site, as is this Rockley business. Of most concern is an unvaccinated truckie who stayed at 2 Spring Hill hotels and a South Brisbane boarding house. He was infectious in the community for 8 days from September 19. It's likely the 25 people who've been staying here will have to go into hotel quarantine because the kitchen and bathroom facilities are shared, making it hard for them to isolate for 2 weeks. The truckie is the 7th driver to test positive here since late August.
So from the 15th of October, it'll be mandatory for all truckies that are using the freight pass to have 1 dose.
A second dose by November 15. A roadside border vaccination clinic has also been set up. The 4th case is a woman who tested positive 5 days after leaving hotel quarantine. There has also been 1 death.
A male person in his 50s was found passed away in one of our quarantine hotels.
He was an Australian citizen anxious to get home. Lexi Hamilton-Smith, ABC News.
For more, let's go live to our reporter Jessica Rendell in South Brisbane. Jess, with that truckie infectious in the community, contact tracers will be working overtime. What's the latest on new exposure sites?
Good evening, Matt. Well, I'm standing outside the Mater Hospital in South Brisbane. Their emergency department was listed as a casual contact site this afternoon. We know that a COVID-positive patient visited the ER on Sunday, the 26th of September, from 7:30 to 10:50 p.m. Now, as restrictions such as mask wearing are set to ramp up here in southeast Queensland, on the other side of the border, the Tweed and Byron local government areas are coming out of their lockdown. That means they'll rejoin the Queensland-New South Wales border bubble as of 1 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now, unfortunately, they'll still only be able to come into Queensland for essential purposes. So these school holidays, unfortunately, that means no play dates for those cross-border communities.
All right, Jess, thanks for the update. Jess Rendell there.